Hello everyone. In this video we will be learning fundamental logical connectives. If two statements are given, we can connect or join them by either of the 5 logical connectives. Those are or, and, if then, if and only if, and not. These 5 logical connectives, they have their own unique symbol as you see here. And will be represented by the symbol V inverted. The name is said to be conjunction. And the connective or, it is represented by the symbol V. This is a symbol for or, and the name is disjunction. If then is represented by the symbol, as you see there is one arrow, one side arrow, or some books they will use just the arrow, one line arrow. The name is said to be implication or implies. If and only if will be represented by the symbol both side arrow, or we call it biconditional the name, or it is equivalent or by implication we can say, because the above one is implication, so the below will be by implication, because both side arrow by means it is two, by implication. And the last one it is not, that's negation. The name is said to be negation, and the symbol as you see here, or some books they will represent it by the symbol this one. Let us see some example. Let's say we have two statements here, P and Q. The statement P or the proposition P will be represented by water is a natural resource. Let us say proposition Q be plants need water to grow. So what will be the negation of P? The negation of P means the opposite meaning of the statement P. So it's going to be water is not a natural resource. That's going to be the negation. When we connect these two statements P and Q by conjunction or and, what will happen? Water is a natural resource, and must be at the middle. Plant need water to grow. The next one is disjunction, which is or. The same manner. I'm going to write the same statement both sides, but at the middle there must be or. When you go to P implies Q, this means P implies Q. How do you write? This is the same as if then. If then. Dot dot dot. That means if water is a natural resource, then plants need, this is going to be the way how to write. If, then write the first statement, because P implies Q. If it says Q implies P, the premise is going to be the Q. If plant, it will be. Okay? So the if part, we call it the premise. And then the then part, after the statement which comes after then, we call it the conclusion part. When you connect these two statements by using by implication, it will be the same manner, but at the middle there must be if and only if. Water is a natural resource. If and only if, this means if and only if, then it will continue. Plants need water to grow. So these are the 5 logical connectives and how we can insert at the middle of sentence, or how we can connect to sentence using the two. Using the 5 logical connectives. But note, we are not connecting two statements, we call it its operator simply. Now let us see the rules of each of the logical connectives. They have their own rules. The first one, it is rule of negation. Consider you have two statements, one statement, because when we are talking about negation, it is operator. So if a statement P is true, okay, the negation of it will be necessarily false. So if P was false, the negation will be true. So there is no another possibility. For example, if the statement P says work is an instrument for national development, work is an instrument for national development, this is true. What's going to be the negation of it? Work is not an instrument for national development, which will be false. The second statement here, or proposition Q, it says Nairobi is the capital city of Ethiopia, which is false. Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya, we know that. So the negation of this statement will be Nairobi is not capital city of Ethiopia. Therefore, if a given statement is true, the truth value of a given statement or proposition, if it is true, the negation will be false. If originally the given proposition is false, it's going to be true. So always negation means you are going to take the opposite of the original. The second one, it is rule of conjunction, or it is AND. When you connect two statements by conjunction and become true if and only if both must be true. It's a rule. Otherwise, if there is one false, it's going to be false. Let us see the table how does it looks. When we are talking about two statements, what are the possible truth values? Both can be true, the one possibility. The first true, the second false, another possibility. The first false, the second true, another possibility. And both false, the fourth possibility. There is no another possibility. So when you are discussing about two statements P and Q, because we are going to connect them by disjunction and we will see the outcome. So the possibilities are both true, or true false, or false true, or false false. There is no another possibility. Either true true or false false, or true false and false true. So it's going to be true in case of disjunction. I mean, in case of conjunction, it's going to be true if both true. Otherwise, look the others. It is all false. As you see here, all of them are false. True false, or false true, or false false, it's going to be all false. Two statements, when you are connecting them by conjunction, it's going to be true only both are true. Otherwise, it's going to be false. So here, false dominant. For example, look, the statement P, the statement Q, and the statement R here. The statement P says work is an instrument for national development, which is true statement. And Q, Nairobi is a capital city of Ethiopia. Again, it is false statement. And 2 less than 3, again, true statement. We do have 3 statements. So when you are connecting them, P and Q, how does it look? Work is an instrument for national development. That is true, we said already. And Nairobi is a capital city of Ethiopia, which is false, we said. So true and false, necessarily the outcome will be false. So that's why we said it is false here. Because the first statement, it is true, and the second one, it's false. Connected by disjunction, and, as you see here. So therefore, the result will be false. The second one, P and negation of Q. P, work is an instrument for national development. That is a true statement, and there is end here, as you see. And Nairobi is not the capital city of Ethiopia. First of all, Q is false, so the negation of Q is going to be true. Therefore, true and true will be what? The outcome will be true. So the result will be true. The third example, P and Q. P, work is an instrument for national development, which is true statement. And 2 is less than 3. That is R. Again, it is true. It's connected. True and true will be true. Therefore, in case of conjunction, the only case to be true, both must be true. Otherwise, if there is one false, it's going to be false. Both false also, it's false. So false dominant. There are 4 possibilities for 2 statements. Okay, when you are discussing about 2 statements, there are 4 possibilities. What are they? Both can be true, both can be false, or the first true, the second false, and the first false, the second true. So under these 4 possibilities, the only case the result will be true if both true. Otherwise, it will be false. Let us see disjunction truth table. Disjunction, it is OR. If 2 statements are connected by or disjunction, mostly they are true, as you see. The only false case if both false. You see, It's a kind of the opposite of conjunction. So that means again the four possibilities will be as it is here: true true, or false false, or true false and false true. So it's going to be false, only both false, otherwise always true. Here true dominant. In case of conjunction we said false dominant, because the only case it's going to be true if both true. But when you come to here, the only case it's going to be false if both false. So it's written here: P or Q is false if and only if both false. Let us see some examples again. Let us take the previous example as it is and let us try to connect P or Q. P is true already, so we don't care about Q. Even if Q is not given, this statement must be true because we are connecting by OR. There is one true, means we don't care about Q. The statement will be, the result will be true. Q or R. We know R is true. So if R true, no need to know about Q even. Either true or false, doesn't matter. The result will be true. But Q or negation R. Okay, what's Q? It's false. Okay, if this is false, we have to check for the second one. If the second also false, it's going to be false. But the second one, it says negation of R. R is 2 less than 3. So negation of R means 2 is not, or 2 is greater than or equal to 3, which is false. Again, false or false will be, which will be false. The next one is implication. Again, in case of implication, true dominant, as you see. Mostly it's true. Only one case it's going to be false, as you see here. What is that case? You know, when we are connecting two statements, P implies Q. We are talking about this. So the P part, we call it premise. And the Q part, we call it conclusion. Therefore, P implies Q will be false if the premise is true and the conclusion is false only. Otherwise, it's always true. That means true implies true is true. False implies true is also true. False implies false also, it is true. Always true. True, true. True implies true. False implies true. False implies false. All of them are true. But the only case it's going to be false, if the premise true and the conclusion part false, it's going to be false. It doesn't work. Again, let us see some examples. So P implies Q is false if and only if P is true and Q is false. Therefore, consider the following examples and let us connect P implies Q. First of all, P is what? It is a true. What about Q? Q is false. As you see, Q is false. So true implies Q. True implies Q become what? True implies false will be false. That's why the result will be false, as you see. The second one, Q implies R. Where is Q? Q is here. It is false. So the premise, if it is false from the beginning, if the premise false, we don't care about the conclusion, because false implies false or false implies true will be true. So the result must be true. Again here, as you see, it starts by Q. Q is false. So we no need to know about the conclusion part. If the premise true, the whole statement will be true in case of implication. The last one, Q is true, because negation of Q. As you see here, this is negation of Q. That is true. Because Q is false means the negation of Q, it's going to be true. So if the premise is true, we have to check the conclusion now. The conclusion also it is true. So it's okay, it will be true. If the conclusion part become false, the whole statement will be false, because it is implication will be sensitive when premise true and conclusion false. This time it's going to be false. So here also true dominant. Remember, implication and disjunction are true dominant, but conjunction or and it is false dominant. Only case it will be true, both true. The last one, it is double implication or by implication. This time the result will be true if both are having the same truth value. True, true, or false, false will give you true. Otherwise, one true, one false will give you false outcome. So two logical proposition P and Q, if they don't have same truth value, the outcome will be false. To be true, both has to be the same. True, true, okay, true by implies true, or false by implies false will give you true. Otherwise it's going to be false. So as you see here, true P by imply Q is false when if P and Q have different truth value. Again, let us see. First one, P by imply Q. What is P? It's true. What about Q? It's false. So the outcome must be false, because P by imply Q means true by imply false. As you see, the left hand and the right hand, they are different. They have different truth value. So the result will be, okay, after connection by implication, the result will be false. Let's go to the next one. Q, it is false, and R, it is true. Again, the result will be false. One true, one false. The next one, Q is false, and negation R will be also false, because R true means negation R will be false. So false by imply false, it's going to be true. They are the same. And the last one, negation Q, it is true, and R is also true. So the two are the same. The resultant will be true. Now let us see some exam questions. The first question here, it says, suppose the proposition P implies negation Q is what? False. So it's implication. Remember what I told you previously. In case of implication, P implies Q, or two statements connected by implication, will be false. Okay, the result will be false. This is false means when the premise true, the conclusion false. That means at this point, you need to identify, or you need to be clear that P is true. Okay, P is true, and negation Q is false. That means negation Q false means Q must be what? Q is false. Q is false. P true, Q false. Okay, now let us see the choice, each of them. Now I know P is true and Q is false. How do I know? From the given. This is false means premise true necessarily, conclusion false. That means negation Q false means Q is also true, sorry. Because negation Q is false means the negation of it. Okay, the negation false means originally it was true. Now let us see each of them. Okay, A, negation Q means it's false because Q is true. Okay, in case of AND, if one false there, the whole will be false. We don't care about the inner part here because they are connected by AND, as you see. In case of AND, if there is one false, the whole thing will be false. Therefore, we are talking about negation Q. It becomes false. False and something, it's going to be false. But we are trying to find the true. Okay, let's come to B. B, negation P, it says here. This is true. I mean false. This is false. Okay, we have to check the next one. Is it true or false? Again, when you come to the bracket part here, Q is what? True. And negation P, it is false. True implies false. The whole thing will be false because it's implication. In case of implies, if the premise true, the conclusion false, it's going to be false. Now we have false or false because it's connected. The bracket part and the before, they are connected by or. If both false, necessarily will be false. So again, this is not true, this is not true. Let's go to the next one. When you come to here, Q, already we said it is true. And here, P is also true. True or whatever, okay, because this is or. True or whatever, it is true, the whole thing. True implies, by implies true will be true, yes. This answer is correct. I will repeat it again. Be focused here. First of all, what is Q? It is true. Okay. So there is by implication at the middle, as you see. So I have to check here. The whole thing, it has to be true. So for that matter, first of all, let us check P. What is P? True. True or whatever, Okay, whatever negation of Q, the whole thing will be true because it's OR. In case of OR, if there is one true, it will be true. So true by implies true will be true. So the answer will be C. But check D if you want. Negation Q, it says. Negation Q, it is false. What about here? It is true because both are true, as you see. Both of them are true. True and true, it's true. True by imply false will be false. So the answer must be C. Again here, there is a logical statement here. P implies R or negation. Anyways, P implies something. It is false, means the premise part true and the conclusion part, this is false. That means we got now P true. The whole, now the bracket part, it must be false, means they are connected by OR. In case of OR, to be false, the whole thing false means each of them must be false. That means R must be false. Negation Q also false. Negation Q also false. That means negation Q false means Q must be what? It is true. Now we do have this truth value. Now let us substitute and check A. The question is which one is true? A, P true. We got it already. P, it is true. And what about R? False. True implies false is false. Okay, let's go to B. Negation R, it is true. And Q also it is true. True implies true, that is true. Let's go to C. The answer must be B. Let's go to C. Negation P, it is false. And Q, it is true. False by implies true. They are not the same because by implication it has to be the same both. So it's going to be false. The last one, Q is true and R is false by implication. So true by implies false. Again it is false. So the answer must be B. The last statement or the last example, it says there are two logical statements, connected by implies. Two brackets are there. Connected by implies. It is true, it says. Okay, in case of two statement, P implies Q to be true, there are many possibilities. True, true, or false, true, or false, false. There are three possibilities. So we cannot say the only case which will be true in this time is like I said before. No. So there will be many possibilities. I'm not going to think of that. But here, look the conclusion part. The second bracket here. What does it say? Negation of R and R. What does this mean? If R true, this will be false, obviously. If R false, this will be true. So that we are talking about AND. In case of AND, to be true, both must be true. But unfortunately here, there are R and negation R. That means if R true, negation R will be false, so obviously the outcome will be false. If R false, negation of R will be true, that means either of the two become false, necessarily. So this is also false. That means the conclusion part here, it is false. Here is the point. Now I know the conclusion part. It is false. If this false, what must be P or Q? It must be false. The reason it is implies and the whole outcome is true. Otherwise, if the premise part, if it is true, true implies false will be false. It will not be true. So to make it true, once the conclusion part becomes false, means the premise must be false. That means P or Q necessarily must be what? False. So P or Q false means, in case of OR, the outcome will be false if both or each of them are false. That means P is false and Q also false. Okay, so it says which one is necessarily true. Now this one is already what? It's false. We got it, it's false. If it is false, we don't care about the conclusion, it's going to be false. True. Because we are talking about implication. I'm coming here now, I'm discussing about the choices. Choice A. Let me repeat it again. Choice A, answer. Well, how comes? P or Q, we already got it from the previous. It is false. This whole thing is false. So false implies whatever, it will be true. Because in case of implication, the only case to be false will be true implies false. But from the beginning, if the if the premise is false, no need to worry about the conclusion part. It's going to be, the outcome will be true. Let's go to B. B, negation Q, it is true. But R, we don't know about R. So necessarily we cannot say it is true or false. But if R is also true, it's going to be true. But necessarily we can't say anything about this, because we don't know about the truth values of R. What do we know previously? How do I say? The possibilities. We state here the possibilities. When you go to C, again negation P, it is true. We don't know about R again. If R true, the whole will be true. If R false, the whole will be false, because it's by implication. And choice D, negation P, it is true. Negation P, it is true, and we don't know about R. It must be true again. This one also, it must be true, because it's OR. The connection here, it's OR. So in case of OR, if one true there, the whole thing will be true. So this one is already true. How do we know? Because P is false here. Therefore C or D also necessarily true, because it is or one of the two. In case of or one of the two, if it is true, means the whole outcome will be true. So these are some of solved examples on the 5 logical connectives. Don't forget them. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.